In the audience. Okay. All right, Ken, let's see. I'm on a new PC, so this is the first time trying this. So if somebody could let me know, can you hear me okay? That would be great. And hey, Sarah, hi. So you can hear me good? Can you hear me good? You got Ashley. All right. Boy, the old definitely the nutrition mission is here before anybody else. Very good. Yeah, I don't have a mic, so my son-in-law helped set this up for me last night. So he said, "You won't need a mic. You won't need a mic." So very good, and I can see pretty good. I was, I think we have another. What time is it? Got 3 more minutes, so I am gonna give this back because I'm not gonna need it. I will be right back. Okay. All right. Very good. So we got folks from Canada. Let's see if we get some Americans here now. All right. Lots of people coming in. Okay. Let's see. We already started. Okay. Well, it looks like technology is going to work for me. So give it a couple more minutes here till 6 o'clock. One more minute. So I tried this on Facebook Friday night, and it worked well. So hopefully tonight will go the same way. Everybody was very nice and cordial. So see if we get some of my European folks on here or Australia. They're I think it's like it's tomorrow morning there. See if they can get on. But Christine, I see a lot of names I'm familiar with. So this is kind of cool. The gardening groomer. Yep. All right. I don't know if I have to do much of an introduction. All you folks know me pretty well. Um, Hi, everybody from Ontario. If there's anybody else, well, in case you guys forget, Sarah was the one that came up with the name Nutrition Mission. So I do promise if I ever get those T-shirts done, Sarah, one will be on the way to Canada. So let's go ahead and get started. We're definitely not going to go late tonight because of the much bigger event than me in an hour or so. So let me start by just saying my name's Glenn. For those of you that don't know me. Um, Maybe I take my glass off for a little bit here. And I am like the most unlikely person to have a YouTube channel. My son laughs all the time that I have one and that I'm well successful as far as in my scheme of things. But what happened was I was a Hills veterinary rep for 34 years. It was a wonderful job. I loved every day. I never dreaded Monday mornings. I spent all day in vet clinics in upstate New York, Pennsylvania, a little bit of what's the other state over there? But anyway, so I was there for 17 years, and then I was in Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, for another 17. And so after 34 years, I retired, and I discovered YouTube, all those projects that now I have no excuse to not work on. And I went to YouTube to learn how to do them. And, after 34 years, pet food is just my thing. It's my passion. And sure enough, I put in pet food or pet nutrition or something. And I was just inundated with Dr. Judy and Dr. Becker and Robney and all those, Rachel, all those people that most of you are familiar with. And I was just incensed because so much of the information was just misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. And it was my son that said, well, go ahead and start your own channel. And then I found Dr. Ray and I said, hey, if she could do it, I could do it. So I think she was my first subscriber. And so anyway, I would say, without going long here, so we can get to some questions before the hour is gone. I started out just thinking, well, I just want to take my experience and let pet parents like me not be fooled by the pet food marketing. That is, it just gets more and more dishonest as it goes. And I didn't know. It's been a little over a year now. And it's really turned into my motivation being, I feel so bad for all the people that get on these different threads, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, and they feel confused, they feel guilty, they feel shamed, all this kind of stuff, all because pet food marketers are so good at what they do. And so that's really been my motivation, to help people not be shamed and guilted and understand the marketing they're hearing really isn't very accurate. So that's kind of been my motivation. It's been very eye-opening. Had no idea I'd be dealing with raw people and do-it-yourself people and all that. I really just thought it would be, hey, here's the tricks of the industry, that you need to know. But it's really turned into so much more. And so that's kind of, my people ask my credentials. Well, back in the 80s, the world was a little different. And I was trained by Mark Morris Jr., amazing guy, board certified nutritionist. I was flown to Topeka constantly for lectures and all kinds of stuff. So I was just I was considered myself kind of just this dumb kid that lucked into this great job. And I loved what I learned. And then it was my responsibility to go into the vet clinics and teach vets and their teams. And the very best part about all of it was seeing the results. And that's what I always want to throw that at my screen or yell at my screen when people say, somebody just 2 hours ago said Hills is garbage, Purina's garbage, Royal Canin's garbage. And I just want to yell, then how do these diets work so well? How can they be so talented, these people, to make garbage do the things that these therapeutic diets do? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And let's go ahead. I'm going to try. I can hear you. Okay, so let me get past all the hellos here. Boy, people from all over. This is pretty cool. Okay. Hills was the only food I ever fed. Yes. Feeding. Okay. So, no one's, I'll try to do my best to look here to make sure I don't miss anything, but, let's if there's any questions that you guys have on your mind, let's see. This is I've always been baffled why people say therapeutic diets don't work. They truly do, as vets have been around for they've been around for ages. Yeah, 1948 was the first year that KD came out. Dr. Mark Morris Sr. He created KD, and was pretty amazing. It's only had about 7 major changes through the years, but that was the first. They called it dietary management at the time. And Buddy, one of the very first seeing eye dogs, was dying from kidney disease, and he's the one that came up with that. And I often, I hear all the time, and it's somewhat true. I mean, I worked with a lot of veterinarians, and vets are just like any other field. Many were really into nutrition, and many weren't. And even the ones that weren't, though, they knew, I mean, they're trying to help these animals. They're working in a clinic. They have other colleagues usually. If they're a young vet coming in right from school, of course, they're learning a lot, and they see, hey, these vets recommend this diet for urinary stones, and well, why do they do that? Oh, well, this is why, blah blah blah, and hey, it works. So guess what? That veterinarian starts recommending that urinary diet, and that pretty much, I would say at least 50% of the vets out there will tell you, I don't know much about how these diets work, I just know they do. and I'm a science geek. I like science. Most veterinarians would say that. So I can look at a little bit of research from Hills, or go to a lecture, go to some continuing ed. And one of the board certified nutritionists that designed JD, or arthritis diet, they were there lecturing, and I learned all about this and that. And so they stay at a level of interest. If they're really interested, they'll learn a lot. I had vets that had me in all the time training their staff, and I had others that ignored me totally and never let me in the door. So that's just the way it is. So, but yeah, because they work, and that would be my argument to everybody that says they're just garbage. Well, how do they work so well then? Is that just placebo? I mean, you can't do placebo with a dog, right? Dr. Marty's food. I'm just going to kind of, I may have to scroll back, and I'm hoping with a Mac I can just use my two fingers. Tell you guys, I'm a novice at all this stuff, so hopefully I'll be able to do that. But Dr. Marty's is very confusing. I've gone to their website a couple times, and I mean, it's disingenuous, the stuff he says, comparing some of the bags and all that. That's typical. But I really have not been able to nail down the nutrient levels to see where I'm at with him. And I have a rule. It's just my personal rule. And I know George, one of the subscribers on here, he kind of agrees with me that if you're giving me dishonest marketing, I'm already kind of against using your food, even if it's really healthy. There was a food company that I reviewed. They had a great product line. Nutrient levels were really great, but their marketing was pretty disingenuous. And he said, well, then you shouldn't even recommend them, because people shouldn't be lied to. So I tend to be a purist. Show me the nutrients. If the nutrients are good, I'll recommend that food, or at least show it to you guys. But a lot of times the marketing is just dishonest. With Dr. Marty's, it's definitely dishonest, but I haven't been able to nail down the nutrient levels yet. So I have to work on that. Same way with Badlands Ranch. Oh, I love the actress. I love what she's doing. She's a dog person just like me. I love all that, but she's just spewing as an actress all the marketing hype, and I can't get nutrient levels on that food. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm still working on that one. So let me see if I could just give me a minute here. Okay, I can see what's from Dr. Marty's. So last on the, all right. How do you feel about the RC line and breed specific? Okay, breed specific, I think, is really overdoing. I think that's just marketing. I mean, I knew I think it was a VCA, a practice manager that had like a German Shepherd lab mix, and she would buy the German Shepherd diet and the lab diet and mix them together because she wanted it so specific for her dog. I think it's just real effective marketing, but there's really not that, size. Yes, there's a difference, but there's not a big nutritional difference between a lot of those dogs. They're really not a different species. So I think that's just a little marketing. As far as the RC therapeutic line, it really depends. I loved what I did in the clinics, and my personal responsibility, at least that I felt, was when I walk in a clinic and say you should use this urinary diet from Hills, CD, for cats. I needed to know how CD Multicare compared to the Royal Canin diet and to the Purina diet. I thought it was kind of a waste of time for me to just show mine and then leave it up to the veterinarian to figure out, well, how does that compare to the others? And it's always been my mantra. I've used it in the channel a little bit too. Always compare. Anything can sound good until you compare it to something else. And then you find out one of two things. Either, wow, it really is that good, or, wow, I thought it was good, it sounded good, but now comparing it to this, that product's a lot better. So I was just a comparison geek. I knew Royal Canin diets better than the Royal Canin reps. Royal Canin reps were not really that great, in my opinion. It's just my own observation. Purina reps were really top-notch people, again, in my experience. And I could compare all the different diets. And vets love that. I think that's why I was pretty successful. RC has a couple. They do great in GI. They do great in derm. I don't think they're that hot in obesity now that Hills is into metabolism, and they've just kind of jumped the bar. They've raised the bar a lot in obesity. Urinary and renal, definitely, I believe Hills still is the standard for the innovations that went into KD in the last 5 to 10 years. CD, that our urinary diets, we don't use the high sodium that Royal Canin and Purina use. There's studies showing that could be very detrimental to kidney health. Why take that risk when you don't have to? So when you say RC therapeutic line, it really depends what disease category. There's some that are really good and some that I think Hills is a lot better. A few that same way with Purina. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. I definitely would trust them overall, though, not like the people that say it's, garbage. I love to be Royal Canin. Usually it's Royal Canin where somebody will say it's working so well, but I feel so terrible because I'm feeding this terrible food to my dog. And it's like, and some people will say, well, if it's working, what's the problem? But that's how effective the marketing is, that I feel guilty feeding this food my vet recommended, even though it's working great. But when I look at the ingredient panel, I know how bad it is because Dr. Becker told me how bad it is, or Dr. Judy. So, it just makes me nuts. Telling the girl they don't work. She'll disagree. Danielle. Hey, Danielle's okay. Wow, you got on. It's our Australia nutrition mission member. Let's see, boutique. When did all the boutique pet food become popular? When I was younger, there was just like 3 or 4 main brands. Well, in the late 80s, it was 88 when I joined Hills, and I'd been a distributor rep before that for a little bit, and was a pet retailer before that. It really was just Iams and Science that were really making it strong. Fromm was out there, a few others. Then there were regional ones. I was in northeastern area, New York, New Jersey for a while. And there were a couple, Bench and Field, if any of you remember the pelleted food and stuff. It was in 87 when Purina came out with Pro Plan, and they had chicken as the first ingredient. So that was really the very first, I know I've mentioned this in a few videos, that was the very first time manipulating the ingredient panel, and it's never been honest ever since. It's like chicken's always the first ingredient, or meat's the first ingredient now. So the ingredient panel started getting played with. Then Nutro. Nutro was the first that came from California, that came to New York, and the all natural hit. And if you follow most of the marketing of pet food, it really follows most of the people marketing. Whatever people get into for a while, just like the anti-carb thing now, just because we're anti-carb for people, now we're anti-carb for dogs and cats. And the all natural, I remember I had a slide in Gunnison, Colorado. I was driving to one of my accounts, and Pizza Hut had a sign up, all new natural pizza, so natural became a big thing, holistic. So definitely it was in the 90s that things really started expanding. And, it's just the love that people have for our dogs and cats that the manufacturers, the marketers realized that this is a gold mine. And I don't want to get on too much of a rant, but we've really gone from the science of nutrition and looking at nutrients. And now we slowly, as marketing, so look at this ingredient, look at that ingredient. Again, it really started in 87 with Pro Plan. Now you get all the way over to the extremes now, where no one's even looking at nutrition anymore. They're just looking at the ingredients, and it's so easy to manipulate the ingredient panel to look really good and be delivering a horrible diet to the animal. So Honest Kitchen, I think I did a video on Honest Kitchen, and yes, it's all gimmicks. I will say most of and you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, most of the delivered fresh foods, Ollie, Nom Nom, Farmer's Dog, Honest Kitchen, they're all life stage foods. They're all puppy foods. So right there, and Dr. Ray just did a great video on this. So I'm sure you all know Dr. Ray, if you know me. All life stage foods have to meet the requirements for all life stages, which includes puppyhood or kittenhood. So that means the nutrients in that diet have to be high enough for a growing puppy. Just I always use my 8-week-old Bernese Mountain Dog. All that nutrition needed to grow that 120 pound dog in a year and a half. That's what you're feeding your adult dog or your senior dog. That's just not optimal. There's too many excesses in there. And all those foods, every single one of them is extremely excessive in nutrients, way beyond even puppy food. And so I just did a video on Iams, and Iams looks fantastic next to Farmer's Dog for a fraction of the cost. So again, that's the industry. We've gotten away from nutrition. Now we're just on to who can market the best and trick people into buying their food. I was intrigued by the Himes review. Yeah, let me just see. Excuse me here if this is okay. That doesn't work. How do I do? Let's see how I do this. Okay. No, that's. I don't know how to raise the. This is embarrassing. I don't know how to stop the scrolling. So let me just let me get rid of that. You see, you can't practice this stuff without doing it, right? A puppy with horrible stools on Pro Plan, and I gave in an open farm, and it's perfect. Yeah, let's just real quick. First of all, puppies can get diarrhea for any reason just because they're puppies. Okay, it's no reflection on the food. You have to find one that produces a nice firm stool. If you're feeding Honest Farm or whatever one it is there, you don't have to worry about the excesses because you have a puppy, so so you're fine. The problem with all life stage foods, even if your dog is 2-3 years of age, it's not like, Dr. Ray says this, one food is not going to kill your dog and the other one is going to let them live forever. Okay, the pet food companies would love you to believe that. My whole purpose is just saying, don't get snookered by the marketing and spend a ton of money. And there's nothing wrong with looking at the nutrients and saying, hey, which ones are really spending good money on good ingredients and which ones aren't. But, again, it's not like if somebody says, well, I'm feeding this, should I feed that? If the dog's doing well, and I could really probably solve the whole, for those of you that's so confused and so worried about nutrition, driving yourselves crazy. Just think of it this way. When your dog hits, 7 years of age, do a basic senior panel, nothing super fancy, BUN, creatinine, SDMA, that kind of stuff. If everything's good, you're doing fine. Okay. You're blessed with a dog that whatever he's eating, he's doing great. You don't really have to, get too concerned. Do blood work. Well, every year, Dr. Ray would say that would be awesome, but, do it pretty regularly. And, if you start seeing elevations, if there's blood work starts indicating something's up, now you need to get serious about nutrition. Okay, but everybody's just too. I just feel bad that you're all just too worried, and I just feel bad when I see some of the folks on online. Do I have an opinion on any of the multivitamins? I do not. I can't really say anything about vitamin supplements. I am trusting when I buy a food. I used to have this big round ball I used as a kibble, and I'd say, you're trusting that company, big, small, brand new, whatever. You're trusting that they have the expertise and the knowledge and the honesty to deliver what is about 50 some odd nutrients at precise levels into that kibble and make that consistent all the time, including vitamins, minerals, how they all work on each other. Never mind the macro ingredients like or nutrients like protein, fat, and carbs, things like that. That's what you're trusting. So to me, and I've heard this from board certified nutritionists, if you're trusting that formula, why are you then adding another vitamin mineral? Now, vitamin C, I've had nutritionists say, sure, you want to add vitamin C, you're just producing expensive urine, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. But I am not big on supplements unless there's a purpose. I have a dog with bad joints, or I have, whatever, a reason that I need a particular supplement. But to just supplement because for the good of it, that more is better, I think it's a waste of time. And you could be throwing off the balance of that food, right? It makes sense. If my dogs do better on a brand that is off on minerals than those that are right on minerals, what do I do? Again, if the dog's doing fine, you just want to be aware of the mineral content, right? So that if you do blood work at 7 and you find, hey, we got some issues going on here, now we got to get serious. Okay, now we're looking at the more science-based. One Facebook group uses that term. I kind of like it. The science-based companies like Hills, Royal Canin, Purina. And when I say it, I talk about the big three because I know them so well, and I think I have a bias that I want a company that has lots of money to do research, and they can pay the top nutritionists and the top chemists and all that. But I have run into, and I think Michael is his name, the owner of Raised Right. It was a food I did a review on. He and I talked for over 2 hours on the phone, and it was like talking to a board certified nutritionist. It was great. I loved it. And the guy's brilliant, and he's just got this small little company. So we don't need to get so biased that just the big three can produce good products, but we have to look at the nutrients and put the marketing aside. And so that's I hope that's an answer to that. Sorry, I'm late to the party. Stuck at work. Well, Elizabeth, thanks for being here. Hey, I enjoy doing this, and it doesn't cost me anything. So I'll probably be doing this on a regular basis, and maybe once a week or so. I don't know. It'll probably be a weeknight when my wife's watching our grandkids, and I can sneak down here and spend some time doing this. So I love this. Honest Kitchen isn't delivery though. Okay, well, I'm lumping maybe too much in, but the marketers are very sneaky good. They are very good at what they do. What's your opinion when to switch to a senior diet? Okay, my 9-year-old dog is thriving on perfect weight. Okay, I love perfect weight. I just put Zuzu on it. She gains weight real easy, and she's on the perfect weight and joint diet, because I'm pretty sure when she gets older, she's going to have a bad hip. There's nothing wrong. And how do I say this? There's some senior dogs. We have a senior dog that runs every day. He's a hunting dog. He's just going crazy. He may not be the perfect candidate for a senior diet that's going to reduce certain minerals and protein and such, which is good, but it's going to also reduce energy. So you might be feeding a lot to him. He may not thrive on it. So again, if I have a really active dog that's doing well, and again, the pet food guys would not like me to say this, but I would get blood work done and see, again, just basic, don't go wild, but just to see if everything is going fine. Maybe I'm not going to go on to senior right away. That this is not textbook. As soon as your dog turns whatever the magic age is, we switch diets and throw away the adult. It really doesn't work the way. The idea, basically, this is all risk management. We're just saying, if I have a geriatric dog, here's the health risks associated with being a geriatric dog. Let's look at nutrients and apply the nutrients at levels that reduce the risk of kidney disease, calcium oxalate stones, hypertension, things like that. But it's still a very general, it's not personalized to your dog. This is everything we're talking about here is general, species appropriate. Oh geez, I use that marketing word, species appropriate. Maybe we should, we let people steal these terms and use them in the wrong way. Species appropriate would be what would be a geriatric profile nutrient wise for an older dog. But again, there's plenty that are perfect for a senior diet, lower fat, lower the protein, make it a high quality protein, watch the calcium and phosphorus and such, just saying, hey, reduce the risk of disease. But there's another dog out there that if you put them on senior, they'd be hungry all the time. Maybe they'd start losing weight. They might need to be on a Purina Sport, 30-20 diet, and on till the day they die or need a prescription out, because they're just going great. Genetics, again, food companies don't want me to say this. It probably makes up 95% of how well your dog's going to do. The other 5% is food. Okay, and maybe not that, maybe a little more than that. But nutrition can only bring out the best of what genetics has blessed that dog with or cursed them with, right? I think nutrition has more to do with the cursed dogs that have terrible disease, or perpetuate. What's the word? Have a higher risk of disease. Those are the ones where nutrition really can do some magic. I was wondering if you could discuss Hill's GI biome versus Hill's perfect digestion. Yeah, perfect digestion is a lot less money and works probably just as well. Okay, so if I was still a veterinary rep, I wouldn't want to be telling you that, because I want you to go back to your veterinarian. But I am being straight and totally honest with you. I think it's great that Hills took some of the discoveries they made and said, you know what, as big as prescriptionite is, we're only going to hit this many people that animals will benefit from this innovation. Let's take it and put it in the science diet line. They did it with perfect weight. So I don't have to buy metabolic for Zuzu. I can buy perfect weight and it works just as well. I can buy perfect digestion and it works just as well as GI biome. Now, when I say just as well, I'm talking in general. You might have a dog that on GI biome, she does great, firm stool, everything is great. And on the perfect digestion, it just doesn't seem to work. Couldn't even give you an answer as to why that would be. But in general, before I retired, those diets were pretty new and I was seeing the same results with both. Okay, so a veterinarian probably would say go with the GI biome for a month, 2 months, and then let's try slowly weaning to the science diet, perfect digestion, and see how she does. If she does good, then we're good. Oh, you got a burner. I love burners. uh, yeah, if you want to wean her off that because she's a burner and she's eating a lot of food, try the perfect digestion. It should be fine. But we had our last burner, Delilah, was a month shy of 13 years old when we lost her. And burners are just one. My son has a 120-pound male burner right now. I want to thank you so much for all the information. Well, I appreciate doing this. I just love doing it. Switch times. My 71-year-old and I've had a dog in our life since I was 3 years old. Wow, you're 71 and since 3 years old. Yeah, every size and breed. During my teenage years, there's a dog food market. What are leftovers? Yeah, that's that whole if we just feed them people food, will they be fine? And again, you could have this big argument that, well, people don't eat perfectly balanced diets every day, why should our pets? Well, we could, we just won't. I know I won't. I'm not giving up my carbs. I went carnivore for 3 weeks. It was the worst 3 weeks of my life. And I know those of you that are carnivore fans, I needed to go longer, but I just couldn't stand it. I lost the joy of eating bread and baked things and beer, and life's just too short to go without that stuff. So I just try to control it. Last two folks are set aside. Really grateful. Sorry, I'm just kind of got to read through these here. I was 24 years old. That's awesome. And real quick, let me just say, people will say, I did this and my dog lived to be 21. That's great. There's somebody, or I use this brand. Let's use Purina Dog Chow because, oh my goodness, it's millions of pets or dogs out there eating dog chow or Pro Plan, whatever. I can show you any diet out there, Science Diet, Pro Plan, Kibbles and Bits, Old Roy, you name it. There's a group of people that will swear by it, that it's the best thing they ever fed their dog. Their dog just thrived for years and lived into ripe old age. And then there's going to be another group over here that tried that food and they tried it for even a couple months and it just did horrible. Their dog did horrible on it. So whenever people go to the Facebook groups and say, I'm going to try this food XYZ, have you used it? What's been your experience? Should I use this? Whatever. I understand asking that, but you're going to get every answer under the sun because it's just the way it is. Animals are unique, diets are unique, and I've had, especially with prescription diet, and it's tragic. A cat that went on KD and died right away, and another cat on KD lived 9 years, 10 years with kidney disease. I mean, it just, we don't get the guarantees I wish we could get in this world. What's the difference between Hill Science Diet, Perfect Digestion, and Skin and Stomach? Again, digestion is based on a unique prebiotic mix or fiber, and fiber is prebiotics. It's same thing. Feeding the GI biome or the microbiome in that dog's gut. Your sensitive skin and stomach, that's back up in the stomach and with skin and all that. That's totally different than the digestion diet is saying. Hey, I have a chronic dog. They, maybe they had giardia, maybe they were on medications or something. Maybe they just have lousy microbiome for whatever reason. The perfect digestion is to restore that back to normal. Same way, just like there's lots of dogs, chronic diarrhea cases would go on GI biome or perfect digestion for 2-3 months, and then they could go back to a normal food. Others have to stay on GI biome or perfect digestion all the time because their system is just that lousy or unbalanced, whatever. Metabolic or perfect weight. Some animals, they lose the weight, they can go right back to normal food. Others, their metabolism is so slow, so lousy that they need to stay on metabolic to prevent that weight gain from starting over again. So with these diets, we talk generalities, and then we take those generalities and apply them to each individual dog and cat, or I should say your vet does. And that's why we can't guarantee you're always going to see the same results. Liver enzymes being affected by nutrition. Liver, I don't know. I'm not familiar with ALP, Danielle, but definitely, I mean, LD, Royal Canin makes a liver diet, Hills makes a liver diet, and it's kind of interesting. I could watch the sales of my clinics, and LD would just all of a sudden take off, and it would be because they found a couple dogs that had shunts or whatever, and or puppies. I mean, I've had vets say, that this diet saved this puppy's life. So I don't know the specifics of ALP. But nutrition definitely affects liver health, so that would be something to check with the vet. Again, you guys remember, I'm not a vet. I'm kind of like the messenger. And whenever I got tough stuff, if a vet really hit me with good stuff, it was awesome because I could call the 800 number at Hills and talk with a board certified nutritionist, or if the veterinarian wanted to do it. I like doing it because then I learned something. So that, every time I would learn something new. But definitely, trust your vet. And I would stress, if you're talking to your vet, they forget, they can call Hills, especially the younger ones. They can call Hills and talk to somebody extremely qualified. It's not like they're calling and talking to a receptionist. They're going directly on that vet line to somebody that knows what they're doing. Now it's all virtual. They're sitting at home waiting for somebody to call them. So by all means, if you're in a vet clinic, it's not available for us public folks, but it's definitely a tool for vet techs. Nutrients over ingredients is the best advice you've given me. Yeah, and it seems so simple, and yet the marketing is so strong. Like we've been saying, people will say, "Well, that food worked great. My dog's renal failure, she's doing great. All the blood levels are good, and kidney function is maintained, and she's feeling good and eating now. She's not losing any weight. But I hate this food because it's so bad. What should I feed instead?" Why? Because they're looking at, I call them ingredientists. I think that's my new word I invented. I have to ask Dr. Ray if she's ever heard of that before, but an ingredientist just evaluates ingredients singularly. And that's what they all do. This is good ingredient, that's bad ingredient. And then the others, the nutritionists, look at, hey, how do we take all these different ingredients and deliver optimal nutrients to the dog? That's what's going to affect your dog's health, the nutrients delivered, not the ingredients. And that one nutritionist in Illinois, University of Illinois, she said, your dog has no requirement for any particular ingredient, but she sure has a requirement for nutrients. And that has been lost on the whole pet food industry. Thank you. You are all very welcome. Are there any ingredients in the foods that you don't agree with? I know nutrients are more important. I can't really say that I know of any particular ingredient that is bad. I mean, all the ones that get demonized, corn gluten meal, corn, soy, they all are valid, wonderful ingredients to use. Now, there shouldn't be any red dyes being used. As far as artificial preservatives, everybody's pretty much gone over to mixed tocopherols. So you don't see BHA and BHT anymore. Thoxyquins I did see that in the food not too long ago. I was surprised. So I think the industry at least is cleaned up. Let's get rid of the really bad stuff. Propylene glycol, which is basically antifreeze. That was in some cat foods. I think a lot of the semi-moist products that are all gone now. Remember Gainsborough? Who's old enough to remember Gainsborough? You have to be my age or older. But it produced this red stool coming out of your dog. But they loved it. I mean, it was like I could play with my Play-Doh or with my Gainsburgers. So it was basically the same experience. Most of that, thankfully, is gone. And I could tell you that I remember comparing Purina cat chow back when I first started in the 80s. The magnesium level in Purina cat chow was somewhere around 53 milligrams per 100 kcals. And now it's down around 20. So everybody, even the grocery foods that we like to say aren't very good, everybody's improved over time. They really have. It's not this horrible crisis that Dr. Judy makes it sound like out there. Can I borrow the ingredientist word? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I've had to practice saying it because to say ingredientist, it took me a while to get that. How can we be sure the nutrient values are honestly, you know what? That's a great one. How can we know that the nutrients they're giving us are actually in the food? That's where trust comes down. And who has personally, I'm almost 65 years old. I don't have a lot of trust in much anything anymore. I know that sounds terrible, but if humans are involved these days, so are you really getting the nutrients? And somebody brought this up the other day, and it happens to me now and then on their website on the internet, they may have one nutrient profile. And if you call the company and talk to a live person, the data they have on their set, wherever their stuff is different than what's on the website. Website operators don't keep up sometimes. I mean, so it really, that's a tough, I don't know how to answer that other than you have to trust somebody at some point. And what I do, the way I look at food companies, whether they've had a recall, I mean, I'm not, recalls are just part of making food. You're going to eventually have something happen because you're all human beings, and errors are going to be made. Why did they happen? What did you do about it? And how often? Or if they're happening regularly, something's wrong. Like Hills, we had that horrible vitamin D recall back in 19. And that was just very traumatic for all of us. And that was the first major recall in my 34 years. So things happen. But I look at the history of the company. I look at what they produce. I look at their marketing. I look for dishonest marketing. Again, like George said, should we really trust a company that or support them if they're basically lying to us? And, something to be said for that. But again, I try to be a purist and just look at the nutrients. But so, yeah, whether or not they're really telling you the truth, I don't know. That's a tough one. When Gainsburgers first came out, that I fed that's true. She would graze on instead of eating meals. She lived. Okay, there you go. There's a 22-year-old Chihuahua that I'm assuming ate nothing but Gainsburgers and lived to be 22. So, that we need to call Dr. Becker and have her go and interview you like she did. She went to Portugal to interview the dog there that supposedly was 31 years old and had grown up on nothing but people food and people scraps. So she wrote a whole book about it. So there you go. She needs to write a book about how the nutrition of Gainsburgers will allow your dog to live to be 22 years old. See it's crazy. That's just like the grandmother that lived to be 103 and all she did was smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and sip on Jack Daniels. Well, I guess we all need to start sipping on Jack Daniels and smoking because she lived to be 103. Well, genetics doesn't work that way. Thoughts on Lone Wolf Ranch? Don't know that one. That's I'll have to look into that one. Actually, I think it did pop up on my Facebook. I just haven't looked yet. I will tell you, I'm doing probably do it tomorrow, a square pet. And I'd never heard of square pet, but somebody did ask me to do it. And I mean, if you want to go there and look at it, but it is the perfect website. They give you the guaranteed analysis, the ingredient panel, the dry weight percentage, the as fed percentage, the calories per cup. I mean, everything you'd want to know is on one page, and it should be illegal to do anything but that, because every information that I need as somebody looking at the nutrition of that food is on that page. It's just amazing. So I'm going to be doing a video on them. I'll probably get that filmed tomorrow. But most food companies are not going to give you the information you're looking for, which is really, really aggravating. They just, here's the pretty pictures, here's our ridiculous price, and here's how to buy it, and set up auto ship, and you save 5%. That's it. They don't tell you anything else. Do you evaluate all foods on a dry matter basis? Ashley, yeah. If you look back at my older videos, they're all milligrams or grams per 100 kcals, because that's if you're around board certified nutritionists, that's the only way they evaluate foods. And that is taking out the moisture, taking out the energy differences in the foods. It's saying for every calorie of energy, how much of each of these nutrients is being delivered. That is really the best way to do nutrition. Okay. I started my channel that way. I saw that Dr. Ray was doing dry matter percentage, and I even talked to her about it. And I said, the difference there, though, is if the energy level is really different, then the percentages actually get skewed a little. But what I found was, as I started calling more companies, they don't even know what milligrams per 100 kcals is. You're just not going to get that information. Most of them can get you dry matter percentage. Dry matter percentage is the best if you can't get the other, because it's taking the moisture of the two foods out. So you're getting an exact amount on a dry matter basis. Energy level still could be a little different, but that's the closest. So that's what I do all my videos now, and so is Dr. Ray. We all use dry matter percentage, because at least most food companies can give me that. If they can't give me that, I'll come on here and say you shouldn't feed their food. Why? You're feeding a nutrition diet. Remember the kibble with all that stuff in it, but they're not telling you what's in it. No, no way. Not when there's so many options out there. As fed percentage, you'll see that sometimes. That is including the moisture. So if one food is a lot higher in moisture, that's going to skew the percentages. So that's why dry matter basis is the way to go. And Dr. Ray has that chart showing you the optimal, I kind of know them by heart now, but the optimal levels of dry matter that are those perfect ranges. And that's why now it's nice and easy to say, okay, this food like Imes was a little out of the optimal range, but not bad compared to Ollie and Origin and Farmer's Dog and all those guys at a fraction of the cost. So, and the higher that mineral level goes, the lower quality the food is. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Ignore the ingredient panel. And the lower the minerals, they're spending good money on good ingredients, and they understand the balance of nutrients. So, I think it really is considering lamb and rice by Square Pet for my pet. Yeah, like I said, I hope to get that done tomorrow. It's not going to be real long, but yeah, I don't want to spill the beans, but some of their diets really impressed me a lot, and some didn't. So tends to be the case. Christine, Rocaine is definitely not as transparent and upfront with values as Hills and ProPlan. Yeah, I found, and even Purina used to have all their nutrient levels right online. Now you have to call, and when you call, they can't give them to you. They'll send them to you, and they're good. They send it, but I tend to not plan well, and I want to make a video, and I want to use ProPlan or something, and I'm so disorganized. My little black book, I don't have it here. I scribble stuff in there, and then I forget where it is and all, and I have to do a better job, because eventually I'll have a good library of all these different nutrient levels. But yeah, it is getting harder and harder, and it's kind of frustrating. Imes is amazing compared to Origin. Oh yeah, yeah. And yet, if you ask anybody, Imes in Walmart, we saw Imes in a thrift store the other day. My wife and I were in a thrift store, and there were cans of Imes in there. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. But oh yeah, that compared to Origin, which is this wonderful food. Yeah, it's crazy. I might try it, boys, on Hills Land. Yeah, the lamb and rice, that was a big phenomenon that hit back when lamb was a novel ingredient diet for allergy dogs, and lamb became so prevalent that it's not a novel ingredient anymore. As a matter of fact, now lamb is one of the higher allergens, way above corn. I mean, it blows corn out of the water now, because everybody started using it so much. And of course, the marketers got involved and said, "Oh, lamb and rice will produce a much more better coat than chicken will." They built this whole story around how wonderful lamb and rice was, where no, lamb and rice was used instead of beef or chicken and corn for an allergic animal. It was just an elimination diet. That's all it was. There's nothing magical about lamb. Oh, and then you heard, again, I'm thinking back to all these things. Oh, and our lamb comes from New Zealand lamb. Oh, that's so exclusive. Well, the God's honest truth is why everybody uses New Zealand lamb, because they have so much lamb in New Zealand that it's so stinking cheap. They buy it. Quality could be great. I'm not knocking the quality, but they're buying it because there's so much of it, and they can get it at a great price, even getting it all the way from New Zealand over here. So again, see how the marketers take advantage of every little opportunity, every little thing that people start talking about in the people world goes right into pet food. I try those, and let's see, it's such a pain, and such a pain to get there. Yeah, Purina is, yeah, like I said, it's I'm going to try to get with the Purina rep here in town. I got her name, the veterinary rep, and I'm hoping maybe I used to have a Purina book that had everything from their vet diets right down to Friskies and everything. It was awesome, and I don't have it anymore, and you need an updated version every once in a while anyway, so you're being honest. But the prevalence of allergies, really a new thing, and with boutique is no, I don't think allergies. That's a real good question. Why are there so many allergies? there's a lot of things we try blaming it on with pets, but the problem is, or the fact is, we're seeing it with our kids, our human kids. I mean, I won't say the guy's name because in this world he may see this someday, but we had this nerdy guy back in grade school. I mean, as far back as second, third grade, and he was that allergy kid with the inhaler and couldn't eat this and all this other stuff. And he's actually alive and well. I saw him on Facebook, so he's still doing okay. But there was that one weird kid, and those of you in your 60s, right? You remember that one kid had those allergies. Now I work, volunteer for security in some of the grade schools, and it's 50% of the class. I mean, it's crazy. It's nutty. The whole peanut thing, everything else, and they're not eating pet food, so we can't blame something we're doing in pet food and why we're seeing more allergies with pets, because we are, but we're seeing it with kids as well. And that opens up, we could have a whole hour discussion on how are we adulterating the food supply, even the human food supply that's affecting our health and all. I mean, maybe RFK will get more into that, if he gets in the cabinet, because I have to admit, I don't want to get on the human side, but we're doing something wrong. We're polluting ourselves in lots of ways. And of course, that brings up the processed food. The marketers use that to sell their fresh food because Hills is ultra processed and all. And most of you know my answer to this. It's the purpose of that process. My little granddaughter Avi, she's special needs, nonverbal, and she can't eat. She has a G tube. She has eaten nothing but ultra processed pouched food for 9 years, and she's doing fine because the purpose of that food is to provide all that nutrition to her. A food company can do the same thing, and therapeutic diets do in fact do it. And like we said, we have plenty of proof of that. But can ultra processed food be garbage like tasty cakes and Pop Tarts and McDonald's and all that? Absolutely. But we're smart enough, we're dumb enough to eat it. I have to admit, I love all that stuff, but we're smart enough to know, yeah, I can look at the ingredients they're putting in here and see it's bad. This isn't a mystery, so anyway, I don't want to get on my allergies of pets is very common, unfortunately, and it's so hard to determine. It's very hard to determine the allergen. Most vets will tell you the tests out there are too many false positives to really be accurate. I would spend my money on a diet to try to figure it out that way than a test, to be honest. Probably 75% of the allergies out there are environmental. So the foods that are out there to eliminate food allergens, the novel ingredient approach is limited. I have 3 videos on allergies that go through all this, but the novel ingredients, you guess and say, well, I'll try venison, or I'll try the fish, or I'll try whatever, and nothing that doesn't help. Well, maybe that's, you unfortunately picked an allergen that they're allergic to. Let's try duck. It's very frustrating. And now hydrolyzed protein from the vet diets out there, and even Square Pet has one. They hydrolyze it. It's broken down so the immune system doesn't know it's there. Much better way to go than novel ingredients. And now Hills has the only diet that's actually for environmental issues, and it's an antioxidant package with quercetin as the active antioxidant. You can look it up. People take it as well to not suppress, but normalize the immune response to the environmental allergens. And that's, again, each one of these diets, there's dogs that have saved their lives, and there's others where it just didn't work. It's just the way it is. Yes, thank you. Let's see, what time is it? Because I don't want to keep anybody from the big show tonight. So we'll finish up in a minute or two here, I guess. I guess I would just ask, I think you guys could still put comments on here when I close it, I think. But, I just, this is new. This is really fun. I was wondering how it's going to be just talking and not talking to anybody else. But my new PC seems to be working. And, dropping off to get stuff ready. Yes, you got to go get ready for the debate. Get your popcorn and your beer or coffee or whatever you're going to get. So I am going to cut off. And thank you, everybody. I mean, from all the way from Australia and Canada and all over the States. This is fun. For those of you that are regulars, and I hope you know who you are, really appreciate it. It's been a great experience. Hopefully we're all learning and doing better for our pets. So I will let you go. And I'll see you at the next video. And definitely, I want to do this again. So maybe suggestions on what night or mornings, whatever works for everybody. I'm retired, so I can do it anytime. All right. You all take care. Thanks again. And now I have to, how do I, okay. We'll see you. That's not working. End stream. Let's try. Oh, I'm trying to use it like an iPad. That's not going to work. Okay. Bye.